Okay, everyone, welcome back. Just before we introduce our guest, a reminder, and perhaps some of you don't already know this, we do have a screening of Mad Max 2 at So anyone who's not aware of that and doesn't have their tickets, do come along, book your tickets for that. It's going to be a great night. We're going to have Mr. Vernon Wells at that screening. And because of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to interview Vernon twice, once here this afternoon and once at that screening. So what we're going to do is focus on Mad Max 2 at the cinema screening. So if you want to hear us talking about Wes and the gang, come along to the show tonight. All the details are on the Weird Worcester page, so check those out, get your tickets booked. Hope to see all of you there. In the meantime, I hope you're all enjoying your day here at Weird Worcester, and sometimes the movie business offers up a character for the ages, someone who is absolutely unforgettable, even if they're not even in the lead role of the movie. And we've got such a case with Wes from Mad Max 2. The guy who played that character and made him so memorable is here with us this afternoon at Weird Worcester. Mr. Vernon Wells. I hope you're having a great time meeting and chatting with all your fans.
I have no idea. I haven't stopped writing back in I have no clue what's going on. What's out there? People. No.
Okay. As I say, we're going to focus on parts of your other career rather than Mad Max, if that's okay, for this section, and we'll talk about some ways later on. Indeed, that's great. Okay. Now, I'm going to start by asking you about your work with Stuart Warren. You've worked with Stuart several times on Fortress and Space Cookers, which we'll come on to in a moment. I want to kick off because it was actually a release by Treasured Films, who are the guys responsible for hosting and providing us with this event today. They released King of the Ants a couple of years ago.
Yes.
Were you before you worked with Stuart? Were you a fan of his stuff? Did you like things like Reanimator? Had you seen his work?
I knew Philip. Not Philip. Oh, good. Brandon, come back. He gets given up about now.
Yeah.
No, I like Stuart, and my wife used to call him Uncle Stu, and he adored her, so he was always very close. But he was, the first time I auditioned for Stu, it was for the Australian film, one with everybody in the prison.
Fortress, yeah.
Fortress, and I went in, and he was honest with me, which I loved. I walked in and he said, "No, I don't know any lawyer." Really? He said, "Yeah, I just want to see you act." Okay, if I throttle you, will that be it? So it was actually quite fun. He said, "No, I want you to do the same scene with me. I want to see how you would take it." I'm not being bored, you know. And so I started doing the scene with him. The scene was very physical, and I didn't want to get physical with him not because I might not get the job because of being physical. That didn't worry me. I hate hurting anybody. You know, like if there's somebody gets hurt on the set with me, I'm the first one that's crying. I hate it. To me, it's like it should never happen, and that's not what it's all about. So I'm working with Stuart, and he said to me, "That was good, but you want to stop being such a little pussy." And he went through the wall into the next thing, and the guy behind the desk went, "Sure." He just come through the wall, and I went, "Oh shit." And he said, "There's no part for you in the film, but you're coming with us." So that was my first thing with Stuart, and I did the film, and the role was great. I really enjoyed it. And from that on, Stuart and I became very close, just as friends. I had nothing to do with him hiring me for jobs, but just as we like to talk about you, and I like being around him. He was a very nice man. And I did all the last three of these films in his life. So I was very proud of that because he was a great director, he really was. He was someone, when we were doing Fortress, there's a scene in it where I'm with the boy up on this scaffolding thing that's goes up thousands of feet in the air and we're fighting, and they used to say, we will kill, this little robot thing. And we're both standing there looking at each other, looking down, and so we start beating each other again, and this little robot thing comes over and I get this hole in my stomach, it goes all the way through the back. And basically what happens in the script is I get shot through the stomach and I go, 7.5 minutes or later, we are still doing our thing, and then finally I went, I'm dying. And I fell off the thing, and Stuart walked over, you two assholes. I give you a half-minute scene and you turn it into another bloody movie. I'm sorry. But we were having so much fun with it, it was just ridiculous. So, but he let me get away with it. I loved working, but my most favourite film, Stuart Gordon's, was King of the Ants. That movie is so unbelievable. And I was the only character in the film who should never have died. If you watch the film, because he's the only redeeming character in it. And he died the worst. And Stuart said you have to, because that's the whole point, is no good deed goes unpunished. And so I would die the worst, and boy, it wasn't that one. And I love that film. That's one of my special films. It was so fun. We went to a screening of it, and the packed theatre was really cool. The movie starts, gets to the first 8-10 minutes in it, and the first one with the fridge. I don't know if you've seen it enough, but he fights this guy and then pushes a fridge over on him and kill him. And I was talking to Grace and I said, wow, it's a lot more fun than it looked. And she said, yeah, you've seen that we're about the only ones in the theatre. About half the theatre had left, not because they didn't like the film, they all filled out their hand and said, we love the film, we can't watch it. It turned so many people off. And if they watched it to the end, they said, well, what? I could never watch the end. I was always like, I don't watch myself die. And it was just a really bad day. But Stuart's wonderful. I had so much fun with him. We heard that he had passed while I was on vacation. It screwed me up for about 3 days. I didn't like it anymore. And there's too many wannabe directors, too many wannabe actors in the business. We got little kids there, about 23. They always, what I find funny is I've been in the business now for 40, maybe 50 years. When I first started, I'd done nothing in my life except ride my horse, drive tractor, and I could ride anything, drive anything. And my horse got told to be the Marlborough horse, because it was a Palomino with a big white leg, a big white tail. And she was absolutely adorable, except for one thing. If you didn't know how to ride a rodeo horse, you were dead. Because you could pull pull her head all the way around to her butt, and she wouldn't turn. You had to use your knees. And when the first day on the set, I was there, and this very arrogant gentleman who was being the Marlborough man, I said, there's a couple of things I should tell you about my horse. And he said, I've ridden horses since I was 4 years old. There's nothing you can tell me. This is going to be fun. And he riding really fast along straight towards the camera, and the thing was he was supposed to pull up before he hit the camera. He's got a head over here, and the camera crew went, oh shit. And they all abandoned ship, and she just went through the whole camera department. I was so disappointed and upset. I was like, oh my God. Like, dumbass. So they actually took him aside and had a chat to him and said, you know, it's his horse, I think he knows how much you can do. But that was one of my fun tries. But people ask me why. Funny thing is, my grandfather and my mother was in Melbourne, and I was up in the country on the farm. My grandfather was incredibly intelligent, intuitive, no, an intuitive human being. And he had this habit. If I asked him a question, he would go, answer me a question, and I go, So I'd answer the question myself. And that was his whole point, was that I knew the answer, but I was too dumb to use it. Like, start doing what you know. And one night, where the farm was, there was just stars at night, Milky Way, and every so often you see a shooting star going across. We're sitting down having a cup of tea as normal out on the thing, sitting on the steps, and this shooting star with it was quite low. You get those ones that are down and across. And I was looking at it and I said, hey, Pops, he said, what? I said, if that was a spaceship and they landed on the front lawn, what would you do? And he went, well, probably ask them how they had their tea, they had milk in it. And I thought, you would. You would. You'd do that. And that was how I grew up with a man that was just, that was the way he was. And he gave it to me, fortunately. So I had the same attitude when I was acting. I did a big-time school in California, one of the top acting coaches I was asked to go to. And I went, and I lasted 2 sessions. I thought it was boring shit. And he wouldn't teach you what you needed. He decided what you should be. And so that's what he was going to teach you to be. And it's like, what? That's not what I came here and I'm paying X amount of dollars for this. So, I thought you might actually do what I want. So I kind of went into the business, and this is what I would say. I came in through the back door, and left through the front door, and I let it all. I learned as I went, and I learned from the most brilliant actors in the business who all took pity on me. Mel Gibson, when I was doing Roadway, this was Mel. I adore Mel. I don't care what he does, that's his problem. As a human being, I adore him. And we're on the set, and I would get flustered very easily, by the way. And I was sort of like, and I'd just stare at him. Mel wanders over and puts his arm around my shoulder. Guess what's wrong, sport? I said, I'm lost now, I have no idea what to do. And he said, they won't give you a word of advice. I said, yeah, just a bloody movie. And truthfully, the greatest advice I've ever had in my life. I was taking it way too seriously. But I've been incredibly, I don't know. I don't consider myself to be a wonderful, brilliant actor. Everybody else seems to, but I just like who I am, the way I am. And I've been fortunate enough to now have done 347 films. And I've got 6 more to do this year.
That's worth a round of applause, isn't it?
It's just, I just did The Crow, Days of Sodom. I played the villain. And it was funny. They rang me up. I was working on another film, and they said, "Vernon, could you fly over? We'll get the ticket for you." It was like half an hour flight, and just watch you for like 8 hours to do this role. Okay. Well, I'm not working at the moment. I'm waiting to get back. So I flew over. I did the role. It was just this screwed up cop who was the last one. And then that was it. I was going back to the location where I was going. And 2 days later, they rang me again and said, "We scrapped everything you did." Well, isn't that jolly? And I said, "Oh, I was that bad?" And I said, "No, they loved what you did. They want you to be the villain, so you've been hired to be the major part of the film." Really? Okay. So I ended up spending on that film, I ended up spending 11.5 months going backwards and forwards from California to the capital to drive out to location. But it was fun. I enjoyed it. It's come out. Everybody seems to love it. But I do what I like, and I like what I do. I always made a deal that the first time the alarm clock goes off at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I roll over and go, "Fuck, that's it, it's over." Now I've got a job, and believe me, I don't want acting as a job. It is hard, mistress. It's good while you're enjoying yourself, the minute you let it control you. So, as I said, I retired, and that was the dumbest thing I ever did. Everybody said, put out a little thing, and I said, I've decided that I've done a lot of work and I'm just going to retire. That was 5 years ago. I'm still trying to retire. Every time I go, I'm retiring. Whoa, shit. So, it's like a guy told me, a really good director came up to me and he said, "You matured." And I went, "I'm 80 years old, I don't know matured." And he said, "No, you've matured. What you've done is you've become open and smart." And what he meant was I was open when I worked with people. I sucked them into me. I wanted to know what they were doing, how they did it. And that was my whole thing. I don't care who I work with, I watch them very carefully to see what they're doing, because somewhere amongst that mold, there'll be something I can use in what I do. And I never see anybody do it to me. Nobody seems to stand there and watch me, really close. And I did a film at the start of the year in Manila, and my co-star was dead. And she was brilliant. She was just the most absolutely adorable little actress I've ever worked with. And she would just, this was her when I was working with her. Everything I did, she watched me. I couldn't get away from her. And that's what I did. But I got to do it as blatantly as she did. 10 years old. And I just watched her and I went, the amazing thing is that she's taking what I'm doing and dissecting it and using what she wants. She's 10 years old, for God's sake. It took me till I was 39 to figure that one out. I love the business. I love what I do. I love the films I make. I love entertaining. I don't consider myself to be anybody smart or special. I consider myself to be an actor. See, I hate the word star, because it's a euphemism, it's box. No one should be a star. We all work in the same business, doing the same job. And if we all got that idea, that we help each other. And it gets so bad. I was working with, I could be really mean sometimes. I was working with a 24-year-old, and was a boxing movie. And he would hit me every scene. And I would go, dude, you don't hit the other actor because it doesn't sell. And I don't sell it. You hit me, like, oh shit. You just know what's written in the script. And he just kept doing it. And I was like, ah. And the director came up to me and he said, do you mind if I change the cameras before you let me on? And I said, I wouldn't. Wait, oh yeah, fine. So we put the camera angles where he wanted them, and I just said to the guy before he started saying, I said, you hit me again, I'm going to pick you. And he just looked at me and said, oh yeah, right on, man. That's twice I'm going to pick you. So we started doing the scene, and he came in, and I just watched him, and I knew he was going to hit me, because he came in, I just went under his fist, and I went, whack! And he went, the director walked over and he said, cut, print.
Okay, any fans of Commando here? Because we've got to talk about that one. I mean, we're going to talk about Mad Max 2 later on. And Commando, I think, is the other movie where something happens that I'm going to ask you about in a moment. Mark Lester said on that movie that you were the only actor that could convincingly stand up to someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger. How does an actor playing a villain compete for screen time and screen space and audience attention against a star like Mel Gibson or against Arnold?
I have never ever considered them to be right. And see, a very nice man once said to me, there's no such thing as a villain. A villain is someone who thinks what he's doing is right. And he will die to protect his right to be right. A hero thinks he's right. So he has the same attitude. And I went, when you think about it, villains are looking out for something. Even if they're killing people, they're still, what I'm doing is right. And so that's how I play it. I play a villain. He's not a villain. He's somebody who needs to get from point A to point B, and he will do whatever it takes to get there. Now that means killing you, your daughter, and your baby. I'm sorry, but you're rude. And that's the attitude. So I never look at myself as a villain. Now I never look at myself as a villain when I'm playing. And I think that's why they're successful, is because people can, even when I'm the worst arsehole on the planet, people can still identify with what I'm doing because I'm still like them. And that's how I love doing it, because I can be like other people, but I'm about as far down as you can get. Anybody wants to see me, he's got it down there, he's got a little thing, I call it that rules.
So your characters have a goal, have a reason.
Yeah.
They're not just bad for the same.
No.
Yeah.
But because if all you're doing is playing someone who's beating people, shooting people, doing this, you haven't got anything. If you've got someone who's point A to point Z, he has to get there. There's all these things that are going to stop him as he's going. He has to figure out how to get around. Now the good guy's doing the same thing. He has the same thing he has to achieve, and he's trying to figure out how to get around them. I'm the person he's trying to get around. He's the person I'm trying to get around. No good, no bad. Two people. One of us is going to win, one of us is going to lose. It's that simple. And that's how I play the villains. And it's been apparently very successful.
So on Commando, I've seen conflicting information in it. Some stuff that I've read says that, and the quote I've given there from Mark suggests that you were the first and only choice to play Bennett. I've heard Windhauser's name mentioned as well. So what's the truth on that?
What happened was I was over here doing Weird Science. The producer of Weird Science, Joel Silver, said to me, I'm doing this film and you'll be playing for the want you to meet the director, and all that. So I did. And the boy said, I got someone to play the role. I don't give a fuck, I'm going home. Don't come back to Australia. And then 3 months later, they met me. Which is a funny story in itself. The only way you could find me in those days was to go through my little black book on the television. On the phone table and bring all the numbers. Something. Didn't tell anybody. But he rang and finally, after a while of crap, got me to go over and do the film. The name has been said to me Wings House. I really didn't want to know who I was replacing because it wasn't my choice. I know he was smaller than I was. He had a tight ass. I used to walk around like a cripple. But it was that thing, you know, like I suddenly got asked to do a film and they were in production. The costume, they pulled out, put in, did whatever to get it to fit me. Because I didn't have time to make a costume. I had to be doing it like the next day. I always remember, Arnold never says he did it, Arnold did it, he never wants to be wrong. Arnold said to Joel, because it's rehearsal. And it's a rehearsal where he's laying on the table and I put the knife on his throat. And I said, if I had my way, I would have cut his throat. And that's quite an aggressive scene. Well, I was a little bit tired. I just went over on a hat and I checked out of bed, got up, got things and walked into the thing. So we're doing the rehearsal, so I wasn't putting anything in. I was going, if I had done it, I would have cut your throat. So he said to Joel, it's not going to work. He's a pussy. Unfortunately, I was walking past at the time and I went, excuse me, you arrogant, muscly shit. So I thought, okay, we'll see who's pussies. So he's tied to the table next to the chains. And they said, we're going to stand by action. And I leapt on and I had the knife. Fortunately, it was, they pretended to be throat, and I kept pushing it up while I was talking to his name. I've got his throat way back. And then the scene ended and Joel walked over and he said, so do we stop production only and get someone else to do it? He could stay. But he kept going. He said, he could stay, but never give him a real bloody knife. He was a little baby.
Okay, we're going to take some questions from the audience now. So a hat right at the back there.
Is your character in Weird Science where?
There's the character in Weird Science West. You know, I always asked them that and I said I would not do it again, like Wes again. And so they weren't allowed to do Wes because Warner Brothers owned it. That's why you saw all the different things on me and stuff. But I put him as close to the line as I could because that's the kind of character he was. And that's how they written it because they thought they could get away with having me be Wes. I was never going to have anything of this shit. All that. So yeah, it wasn't supposed to be Wes because they couldn't. Warner Brothers would sue their ass, but it was.
I guess you could say the same for Michael Berryman. He's doing his Hills Have Eyes thing there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, more question. We'll take this one and then you. Yep.
Okay. So Steve, talking about Commando, how much of your character in Commando was on paper and how much you were free to build it your own way, especially given you were in places for countries?
I am incredibly lucky when I work because directors give me so much leeway. They'll let me build a character while we're rehearsing and then they just let me go. An instance of hystericness here. There's a film that I did which has just started going around through all the things to get award shows. And I play the leader of a cult who they worship these trees. And these trees live by a scene where I'm trying to get my son to take over for me. And he sort of says, so I go, another good idea. So they capture him, we take him, we tie him to the tree, and there's this scene, and I'm standing there talking to him. And I said to the director, what do you want? He looks at me and show me. I put the cameras on, you probably only hit it once. And I had the cameras on, I was really close to him. I was right there, and I was talking very softly to him. And I said, when I find your family, I will get your wife and your children. I will feed them. The trees, the only one that will survive is your eldest son, my grandchild, who will become the next leader in your place. And that's the end of the scene for me. And he's sort of looking at me, and I turn down and I lean right down and I go, why? And I walk away. The director woke up and went, never let it fucking go me. And that wasn't in the script. It came.
Moving from the working on Australian sets,
Yeah.
I'm Australian by the way.
No. Damn.
Moving from Australian sets to working on Hollywood films, was there anything that gave you a sense of culture shock, or was there any big difference between the working practices?
Yeah, we're so much better. And I'm not being funny, we are. We're just so much better because Australian sets, there's more camaraderie. There's more, if I was pushing something across the floor and I was struggling, wouldn't matter who he was, someone would just walk up and say, give me a hand, mate, and push it across. You can't do that here. If you touch it, they go on strike. And that pisses me off. I had a really bad accident doing a TV show, and I had this kid who we kidnapped. And you can't point guns at kids. So what I had was the gun was here, and I was doing these things with him. And we were on a tow plate, so the car wasn't being driven, it was on a trailer. So it was, they hit a bump, and when you saw it coming, when the trailer hit the bump, the gun went up here, in there, through there, and out there. And blood went all over the kid. And I was like, and the kid's freaking out. They stopped. No one could help me. Because there was lights and cameras. And guess what? The lighting department wasn't there. And the camera department was, but they couldn't get to anything because the lights were around it. Until finally the DP went, this is stupid. And he just started ripping lights off, got everything, and they got me on the car and got me to the hospital. That part I didn't like. In Australia, as you know, we don't have that shit. I always remember the first time I went back to Australia, I was on the set on Fortress. And I was walking across the floor, my first day, and it was a huge set, it's like 6 stories of set. I'm just walking across and this voice out of nowhere goes, well, grab that 2K and take it up to the guys. And I went, oh, sorry, sir. And I put it on my shoulder and I said, because that's what it's like over there. It's a different attitude. Everybody helps everybody. There's none of this bullshit of like, oh, I'm doing this, so I can't help you. You don't have that regulation. But here it's really bad.
Okay, unfortunately we're out of time on session 1 now. Vernon's going to be doing his photo shoot in about 10 minutes. He's going to be back letting off more steam at our cinema screening of Mad Max 2 later on. You all need to be there. We'll see you there. In the meantime, big hand for Vernon.
If you come tonight, questions have to be under 3 syllables. But seriously, I've got to do something before we close. I'm Buddhist. That's really, my wife is Buddhist. because I always like to close with this thing, and that is, as I said, for everybody. Everybody in this room is connected to me in one way or another. Whether you believe it, you know, or not, I'm connected to you. That's the whole thing, is that we are one, but we have parts. Now, my part is being an actor. And what I do, I enjoy. You enjoy what I do. And that makes me enjoy what I do even more. And I would say to all of you, I don't care who you are, whether you like me, you don't like me, I don't care, it's got nothing to do with it. I wish you the best. May Buddha bless you, and may everything that you want out of life be yours to take. Thank you. My wife said, when our house got really caught on fire, and we lost everything except the clothes we were wearing, and I got our dog and stuff like that. I'm not so sure that was a smart move. I should have just took the dog. I got them out, and I was like, you know, being an Australian, I was so, for like the first week, I'd lost 45 years of owning a house in the ocean. It was gone. And the problem was that nobody was sure what the houses were because there's never going to be a fire. And I was always bitchy and things like that. My wife said to me, she said, sweetheart, you know the Buddha's up there? I'm like, yeah. She said, he's looking down, right? I said, yeah. So the first thing she sees is you, and he goes, oh God, not him again. No, please, not him. So that turned me out of it. Right at that moment, I just changed and went, oh, I'm being an asshole.